Imagine yourself being at the age of 7, standing in front of a mirror, and you don't really know who you are, what you're doing with your life. You're not really familiar. You feel a bit different. But you know that there's something unique about you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be standing here today. Let's start. I'm not going to spend any time introducing myself, as I want you to get to know me better through my own talk. Behind me, you can see women. Each and every one of them represents your mom. Your mom over there, and probably your mother, and probably your mother there at the back. They have many mutual things, many common things together, but they have only one thing they want from you. Some of you think they want you to be doctors, maybe lawyers, happy. Strike that. They want only one thing from you. They want you to have grandchildren. But what happens if you're a homosexual? Let's talk about fear. So fear is not part of today's talk, but it's sure part of it, and you understand why. The word homosexuality, why are people so reluctant about this word? Why are people so afraid? What is it in this word that makes us be so contained inside ourselves and being afraid to say this word out loud? When I came out, my mom and father couldn't even pronounce this word on their lips, not even today. Some of my family members, even until today, cannot. What is it in this word that made it such, even a swear word to some of the people around the world, that scares us? I want to address you to the next slide. Behind me you can see a map that represents some of the countries around the world, the acceptance of homosexuals. I'm going to take you to the eastern part of the world. For example, China, Japan, Malaysia. You can see Kenya. You can see the low percentage of acceptance of homosexuals among society. On the other end, on the contrary, if we'll go to the western part of the world, we can see a slight elevation of acceptance. Let's take Britain, for example, 76%. Let's take Canada, 80%. Or even Israel, my country, more than 40%. I just want to make an announcement that 40, for me, does not represent a high number, unfortunately. Legality of homosexuality has been a long issue around the world. Many lawyers, judges, humanists are dealing with it on a daily basis. Maybe you can see some kind of a table that represents the punishment that you can get in some of those countries. I want to draw your attention to Pakistan, to Kenya, to Nigeria. In Nigeria, you can get up until 14 years in jail for being a homosexual. I want to draw your attention to Iran. The law in Iran says that if a homosexual was caught in the middle of an act, he can be hanged to death or stoned to death. But Iran is a bit more special in this case. And why? If you are an homosexual in Iran, you have two choices. The first one, to have the proper punishment, to be incarcerated. The second one, the government will pay for a sex reassignment surgery from male to female. So homosexuals can continue their life not in prison, but in a different body. But there's one problem here. There's a difference between gender identity and sexual orientation. And taking those poor homosexuals and cutting them and holding them inside a body that is not theirs is even worse than death for some people. But what is the first remnant of homosexuality? When did we first come across it? Behind me you can see a cave painting. It was discovered in what's known to be today Czech Republic, 5,000 years ago. This is the first remnant in history of homosexual behavior. You can see two men, and according to the artifacts that were found inside this cave, inside this structure, there's no doubt those two men were lovers. And were they afraid? Did they hide? Probably not, because the picture behind me doesn't leave any hints for hiding or for being afraid. All of us know the Greek mythology. All of us know the stories about ancient Rome. Those stories are quite familiar. Those stories are already quite bored. But it's my job to bring you new stories, something that not many people know. I want us to take some kind of a journey across history. I want us to go to America in the pre-Columbian era. During the pre-Columbian era, Columbus has arrived to America, and he found the Native Americans, what he called them Indians, unfortunately. The reason he called them Indians, actually, is because he thought he found the new path to India, but he didn't. He was just confused. He found that they have this beautiful ceremony called the two-spirit dance, bringing two men in a holy matrimony. And I want to remind you, it's not 50 years ago, not 20 years ago, hundreds of years ago. This acceptance was somewhere there. People did accept one each other. But this spirit dance, the beautiful spirit dance of the Native American, had to stop once the Spanish occupation has arrived to the US. Let's go to a bit more interesting story. I want to draw your attention to Egypt. Let's take a journey across time. While the Egyptian people wasn't so sure if they accept or do not accept each other. On the picture behind me, you can see a remnant from a historical cave. Two men that had two families, two officers in the Egyptian army, Rahmat el-Anayn and Tut el-Akar. Both of them had a heterosexual life, had children, but they were lovers of each other. They were buried in such position they didn't leave any idea or any question about if they were lovers or not. So we're sure about it. But let us jump to the next one. Where this misconception, where this fear of homosexuals started? Religion. We have three big monotheistic religions nowadays: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The first mark of anti-homosexual acceptance or disacceptance was in Judaism. The book of Leviticus, chapter 18, part 2. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. And then this special journey of religion has started all across the world. Judaism has spread, and then Christianity has spread. The birth of Christ brought with him the spread of the New Testimony, and then Islam later on. But it wasn't until the Crusaders, during the Crusades, between the 11th century to the 13th century, that brought this acceptance and demolition of homosexual behavior among different people in Europe and throughout the world. I just want you to understand that acceptance was there at some point. And I have nothing against religion. I come from a religion family, and I think it's very important to say that. But we need to understand the fact that some words are from other people and other people's lives. Origin, the $1 million question. So, probably many of you think that homosexuality is something that we catch. Maybe some of you think that homosexuality is something that we choose. Some people came up to me and said, "You chose to be a homosexual." Well, I didn't. But what is the origin? It's a huge topic nowadays. People from all over the world are exploring this, looking deep inside the possible reasons. We have some assuming about genetic factors, hormones, pre-organizational factors, and maybe the basic one, the biographical ones, and psychosocial factors. I'm going to focus on two today. The one is a genetic factor. The second one, you'll see in a second. So, without getting into too many details about medicine and complicated scientific terms, we have two chromosomes, male have two X's, and women, females, an X and a Y. So it was proven and found that on the long arm of the X, on band number 28, there's a genetic material that correlates with almost 55% of homosexuals around the world. But what is it? What is this genetic material exactly? I mean, if it was purely genetic, wouldn't we see it in all homosexuals? 100%? Let's raise another question. Twin brothers, identical twins, that were born at the same time in the same womb. If one of them is gay, the chance of the second one to be gay is 52%. Some people say 51. And I want to raise the question again. If it is a genetic factor, why don't we see a higher percentage? Why not 90? Why not 95? Why not even 70? Why 50? And if it is a genetic factor, why don't we see reduction with time? I mean, what's the point of us being here? We want to breed. We want to spread. Homo sapiens have been known to spread around because we are the one who's ruling now Earth. We are the ones who are ruling Earth at the moment. But if it is a genetic factor, why didn't evolution demolish it? Why we can see it in more than 1,500 species of animals? It's a question that no one can answer nowadays. I'm going to move to a new, more controversial idea. The virus hypothesis by Mr. Gregory Cochran from the University of Utah. So, if it wasn't for Gregory, I wouldn't even be here, because I think that this idea has opened me to a different, higher level of understanding. Gregory claims that a pathogen can actually change the way you think. A virus or a germ that got into your body, set on your mind, inside your brain or even your blood, and made this kind of change that changed your basic sexual orientation that was destined by nature. It explains the versatility. We can see homosexuals around the world in different percentage. In the US, we can see 6%. In Israel, we can see 11%. Here in Hungary, we can see around 9%. So it can explain the versatility if we follow the pathogenic movements of viruses and germs. But how do we catch it? Do we catch it while we're in the womb? Do we catch it when we're 4 or 5? Is it only just a part of a basic acceptance? So, if we do have this virus in our body, do we need a genetic factor as well? Do we need a biographical factor? Do we need a special interaction with our parents like Freud said at the time? Who knows? Behind me you can see a picture from a very known film, Titanic. Jack and Rose. Who doesn't know it? Very tacky, very emotional, but still. Too many Oscars. And also we can see Beyonce. And ladies, please do not raise your hands if you're single. Why am I talking about those two? What is the connection between Beyonce and Titanic? Well, I want to draw your attention to the PET scan behind me. More than 1,000 gay men, heterosexual men, gay women, and heterosexual women were part of a conducted research about the way that we react to outer stimulations, music, films, speeches. When showing Titanic or listening to Beyonce, my mind works different than the mind of the girl in the audience. The mind of the girl in the audience works different than the mind of the guy that sits on the first row. But we can see a very unique correlation. If you'll take a look, you'll see when playing music or certain films, the areas in the heterosexual male brain correlates to a gay female brain. and the male homosexual brain correlates to a female heterosexual brain. So we have this kind of pattern here. Why do I react different than a heterosexual male? It's a question to be asked, and people are still looking for the answer. Another research that was conducted in the US not too long ago took part with 450 men. Some of them were gay. They didn't know each other before, and they were placed in a room with a glass barrier in between. When a man stood in front of a man, he asked him to ask or to guess if he's a homosexual, without saying any word, without giving any gesture. More than 83% of those people have managed to recognize the other gay. How? Without even talking? Without even winking? What is it that lets us gay men recognize each other in society? Is it kind of a mechanism that allows us to keep ourselves? Who knows? But why do we have this need of pathologizing homosexuality? Why, as a society, we want to understand why and how many? What is it about homosexuals that give us this reluctancy? It doesn't let us understand. Maybe it's just nature's variant. It's another human's variant of sexuality. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's supposed to bring us to be more united. But this fear of homosexuals, like I spoke at the beginning, brings me to my last stop on my talk. I want to talk about myself. I came out at the age of 7 to myself, but I came out as a homosexual at the age of 22. Acceptance was 0. But there comes a time in one's life where he stands in front of a mirror and he needs to realize, to understand, to accept himself. I didn't choose to be gay, that's what I keep saying. But I did choose this way of living instead of hiding. That's why I'm standing in front of you today. Probably 10% of the audience is gay. Some of them are in the closet, some of them are out of the closet. But here, even in this special country where I study, it's very unique to raise the voices of acceptance, of homosexuals. For us to realize that you live among them. They are not different. They're exactly like you know them before. Maybe it's your best friend. Maybe it's your teacher. Who knows? When I came out, I was in the army. Luckily, it was my kind of, I felt like a refugee trying away to the army. But this very strong feeling made me who I am today. And I'm standing here in front of you today and I'm asking you, if you know one, if you think about one, don't be afraid, accept. If one day your child, your daughter, will be gay, what will you do? Thank you very much, Debrecen.